This second set of notes now begins with integers, and this time we're dealing with subtraction. We will be using pictorial models and a number line. The essential question for today is, how can we demonstrate subtraction of integers? So let's begin with our first example. Example 1 says, use a pictorial model and a number line to model the expressions. Expression A is 8 minus 5. Expression B is 6 minus 9. Now, in the previous notes with addition, we began modeling using the integer chips, the circles with pluses and minuses inside them, and we'll do the same thing here. So let's begin with example A, 8 minus 5. Now, what I did first was I went ahead and looked at my first digit, which is 8, and since it has no visible sign, I know automatically that's positive. So I drew 8 positive circles. Now, this next part of my expression says to take away 5 positives. Well, I have 8 of them. If I want to take away 5, I have more than plenty to do so. So what I do is I go ahead and just scratch them out. I scratched out 5 positive circles. In other words, I subtracted 5. And just as we suspected, when we subtract 8 minus 5, we get 3 positives remaining, or positive 3. So right there, that's a pretty basic example of subtraction, something that we all, I think, kind of know, and we've seen something like this probably similar back growing up in elementary school. Now let's continue this example with a number line. So I'm going to go ahead and insert a page break, rewrite my expression, 8 minus 5, and then create a number line. My number line in this case extends from -2 to +9. Go ahead and recreate this line now as best as you can. Now, in order to create my number line, I have to draw my first line segment. Once again, I have a positive 8. And as always, when we're using number lines, we start at 0. So I have to go from 0 to +8. And that's exactly what I do in my next step here. Here I made a line that starts at 0 and extends all the way to +8, or 8 steps to the right. Now I'm going to subtract, or in other words, take away, or another way you can think about it is go left from where I ended at +8, and I'm going to go subtract or go left 5 spaces. So that's what my next example shows. Here I had the original 8 steps forward to the right that I moved to the +8, and then right above it my line begins right where I ended and goes back now 5 steps. Where the 5 ends up, or excuse me, where this second line ends up is my answer, and we see that down below. 8 minus 5 equals 3, which does correspond to our original answer that we had above. 8 minus 5 equals 3. Now let's move on to example B. Example B says, is the expression 6 minus 9. So I went ahead and began my modeling. I used 6 positive circles to represent the first digit, +6. But now here it becomes a little different. My expression says to take away 9 positives, but I only have 6 here. So I have to somehow figure out a way to bring in 3 more positives. But I still have to maintain this number of 6. I can't just change my numbers to fit my own personal situation. I have to do what it says here. So here's the next step. It's a pretty big idea, so you need to watch very carefully. Here's what I'm going to do. I have my original 6 positives that are stated right here in the beginning of my expression. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 0 pairs. We learned about these when we were talking about integer addition. Whenever you have a plus and a minus together, they equal 0. So think of this as saying 6 plus 0, which is still 6, plus another 0, still 6, plus another 0, it's still 6. And I still managed to bring in all these extra signs. So what I did is I took 6 positives and I added 3 0 pairs because I need to get these symbols so I can take away 9 of them total. So I'm going to redraw this whole picture. I'm going to put all the positives together in one row and all the negatives together in another row. And that's what I do here in this next step. Here I have all 9 positives, and now I have 3 negatives as well. My equation said take 6 positives and subtract 9 positives. I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 positives that I can take away. So I will go ahead and subtract these 9 positives. I scratch them out, all 9 of them, because it says take away 9 positives, and I did that. Whatever remains is my answer. In this case, I have 3 negative circles. That means 6 take away 9 is -3. Now let's see this example again with a number line. I rewrite my expression. I created a number line that goes from -5 to 10. Let me go ahead and add an arrow tip here. And then I began at 0. My first number is a positive 6. So I go from 0 all the way to positive 6, 6 units to the right. Now my expression says to go back or subtract 9 steps. So right above that line, right above the 6, I'll make a line that goes back 9 steps. So I pass the first 6 and then I continue 3 more past 0. When I do that, I end up at -3, which does match my first answer I had above. -3 here, -3 down here. Go ahead and turn your paper over for the next set of notes.